Hey guys, and welcome back to the Barca Breakdown. I'm Youssef, and I'm here with my co-host Adam.
Hey guys, how y'all doing? Please do us a favor. We're trying to grow big this year at the Barca Breakdown. So if you're one of the thousands listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please go on YouTube. Find the link in our descriptions on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe to our page. Like it. If you're on YouTube, hey, you're already here. Please show us some support because we're getting ready for a big end of the season like we covered in yesterday's video. But before we go into the game, I got a little surprise for you, okay?
Hit me.
For the Clasico, right? They could have chosen any ref on the planet. This is unconfirmed, but guess who I just found out is going to be reffing the game on Saturday?
Not Laouz,
Yep,
dude. I
they
already
got
knew it when
Laouz.
you said that.
Yeah, they got the man who tries to make every game about himself. So, I think he's also reffing the Bayern PSG game midweek in the Champions League. We already saw some bad reffing today against Valladolid. We're in for a week of frustrating reffing. Today, thankfully, went for us, but you know what? Let's get into it, Yus. Why don't you cover a little bit about what we're going to talk about today?
So, sure. Today we started out with a very rough game, Barca v. Valladolid, okay, right? So we want to talk about that. We're going to talk about our mindset coming into this game. We're going to talk about the lineups. We're going to break down the first and second half, what went wrong, what went well, who got subbed, and then lastly we're going to talk about us coming into El Clasico this weekend. So, this is going to be a quick discussion because today's game was, a little
Snooze
bit rough.
fest.
There's not too much we can pick it out. What's that?
Snooze fest, rough.
No, snooze fest.
Thankfully we got one shining star at the end of the game, Yus. After all these months of you hating on Dembouz, he came in
Oh,
big.
my God.
But I think, you know what?
Here we go again.
I think, you know what? Coming into this game, we had a few things we were highlighting, right? One, the biggest thing, which thankfully we escaped with, Messi and De Jong, they were both on a suspension if they got a yellow card, and both of them eked away,
True.
right,
Very
without
true.
one. I think the other thing that I've been mentioning, for the last few years when we do this podcast is that Messi, when he comes in from a break after he's been off for like a week or two, is always a little bit rusty. And so I was looking to see that. And then, the third thing that we talked about was after the international break, Frenkie had played a lot. Pedri had got some hours, and so we were going to try and see if Koeman wanted to put any rotations in to keep players fresh for the Clasico, even though, we don't have a midweek game, or if he was going to go with our strongest starting lineup and come out in full force since Atletico dropped points yesterday.
Sure, and like you just said, we even talked about this in yesterday's YouTube, how Messi, you noticed over the years, Messi always comes back a little bit cold, but let's talk about that lineup that you're mentioning here, right? And all these players that have had. Of course, he came with power.
Koeman came with
he was
the
off
full
target.
Guns blazing.
But yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so let's talk about some of these players that came back from international break and that started on the field here. So, we start in the back with Ter Stegen, Mingueza, FDJ, Lengelet. Then in the midfield we have Dest, Busquets, Pedri, Alba. And then in the front three, we have Messi, Griezmann, Dembele, which is a 3-4-3 sort of lineup here. We just said that Pedri had played in Spain. He came in today. I think he did a very good job. He looked on point, great connections, as opposed to the rest of the team seemed to be a little lacking in passing and stuff between other players.
Sure. And what I was kind of saying is, Koeman came with full power. Like, this is the team
Oh,
that he was starting
Koeman.
in all big games, leading up Copa del Rey, Champions League, La Liga. I mean, Koeman didn't put any reserves in. He didn't try to, put in a Trincao to start or Pjanic or Aleix or Puig, right? There was no surprises, no Braithwaite starting up front. So Koeman came into this game with a killer mindset. He wanted to take the 3 points, and he wanted to make sure that, if we're going to lose points for the last 10 games of the season, if we draw to Atleti or Real Madrid, hey, they're, two great teams, and it's very possible that happens, but he didn't want to lose points here. That's what I took from his mindset coming in.
Sure. And not to mention, we beat them 3-0 last game, right? And so I didn't think, we talked about this yesterday, what teams we thought we'd have trouble against. I did not think this game was going to be one of those games, right? We talked about how positive, or at least I talked about how positive I felt about the games coming up and how I thought we were going to fare. I just think the international break kind of sucked some energy out of us with travel and, or just not playing even with Messi not in South America.
Definitely. I mean, the team, when they have that international break, they don't have the time to play together and keep warm and, keep the same routine as they always had. I mean, one interesting thing here is that, I think Alba, right, he played for Spain and he scored a goal, and I think he had like 2 or 3 assists over the international break, and he was on a torrid run of form right before the international break, and, he comes back and played a real stinker. And so, it's not
left side was weak.
It was very weak. And, it's funny you say left side because, as we get into talking about the game, one of the big issues I thought is we were playing really narrow and, Alba wasn't really staying out to the wing a lot. And so, Frenkie actually was a bright spot today. So even though he had played a lot for the Dutch team and traveled a lot during this break, and I thought he might come into the game and, be a little bit tired, he was actually a bright spot. So, it's a little bit hard to guess when they have the international break who's going to come out strong or not. And so why don't we just get into the game use in the first half?
Yeah, okay. So the first half was atrocious. I couldn't name too many things that happened in that first half that I was happy about. Right. The first few minutes of the game, I think Valladolid had some great chances. They had some open spaces. They had that header that came off the post on the top right side, I believe. They really put me on edge during that first half. I thought that, we didn't really have any opportunities taking shots there. And even when we did, I think we had a free kick from Messi in the first half. That one came out a little wide on the left side.
Yep, hit the wall too with another one. I think one bright spot, like you're saying, Valladolid really came at us strong in that first half, and especially the first 10 minutes. And I thought, Lengelet actually had a great clearance, and throughout the game he seemed to be performing pretty well. I think ever since the Cadiz game, Lengelet has been playing, pretty well. I think the obvious issues with the ref came in the second half, but there was an elbow on Griezmann right to the face that wasn't called. There was a time when Dest, I thought, got fouled in the penalty box that could have been called. And like you said, we really didn't have a lot of offense. I thought Alba was playing too far in the center. I thought, Griezmann looked a little bit lost like he did all game, which is, why he was subbed out in like the 60th minute for Braithwaite. And, the only really time where I thought we had a good chance to score was, near the 45th minute when Pedri had he tried to make that through ball to Messi, got blocked by the defense, and it came back to him, and he shot it. The keeper got a hand on it, and it almost went in. I thought when that ball didn't get any use that this was a sign that we were fated to draw or lose this game. I'm serious, man.
Dude, I had deja vu that whole the first 90 minutes of that game, which is the whole game. I had deja vu from so many other times we've came out and played like that, where we are just off target the whole time. Our team's not connecting together. Nothing is working for us. And we seem to be pushing the ball, but we seem to be leaving gaps in our defense, right? So this game just made me feel really uneasy. But I will say this, going into the second half with some of these opportunities that they starting to muster up at the end of this first half, that, Koeman made some changes, and I think he made some good decisions. He even changed up the lineup in the formation, and he subbed in 5 players, right?
Yep.
And he didn't do it so late in the game,
True.
Which we've complained about before.
Very true. No, I think the obvious change that we needed to put in was Braithwaite for Griezmann, right? They were playing a tight block, and we had a few chances on the counter, and a big reason why Dembele in that first half didn't have a goal or have really very many passes at all is because they were playing a deep block, and Dembele was like the center forward, and he had some opportunities to make some runs. I thought he had some off the ball movement that could have been connected with, but all the players seemed really sloppy and not ready to make the passes that he needed.
For sure.
And then right, I think in like the 55th minute or so, Dembele goes on a nice little run. Messi got the ball to him, he shoots it, it gets blocked, and then Griezmann had a chance to head it in, and it just went wide. And then after that,
dude, I was so bummed.
I know it was real close, but I think Koeman made the right choice to sub him out. And like you said, he made some good subs in this game to try and switch things up. The biggest thing, like you alluded to, was we went from a 3-4-3 to a 4-3-3. And so what we really did is we really brought De Jong into the midfield. And if you go all the way to the end of the half, and we need to go back a little bit to talk about the red card, but there was the, it was Frenkie on the right side, actually, right far up on the field, who put it across to Araujo, which was another great sub he made. And then, Dembouz got the ball on the left side and scored it. And so, switching to have Frenkie back in the midfield rather than in the back three was huge for us in the game.
For sure, and I do want to comment on that real quick about Araujo and Frenkie being pushed up, right? I really liked that he put Araujo in for two reasons. The first reason being he's a taller, bigger guy, and I know if we were at that time, and the second reason is at that time we were pressing a lot. We were really trying to score, and I think that was really good because while we're up in their side of the field that whole time, we're bound to get some corners, we're bound to get some crosses or something like that, and we need someone to be able to jump over their defense. Some of these defensive players were bullying Messi around a little bit earlier, and I think it gave that edge to kind of overcome, especially because a lot of these defenders are now tired from playing this whole game, staying on Messi, making sure he's not getting into the box, making sure he's not getting open passes, right? So I think that was really great by Koeman, and I really am happy that Dembouz was able to score that after at the last minute, right? I think that boosted his confidence way up there.
Sure, but let's be honest, right? Like, even though that was a good change and we did score, it was a real deadlock, and with our players playing very sloppy, it didn't seem like we had a chance. What really broke things open, not only was Dembele the scorer of the winning goal, he also was the man who got the red card tackle. Saw a lot of slander on the timeline used from a lot of, Real Madrid fans and Atletico fans about how, it was a bad call. I mean, the guy tackled from behind, right, Dembele, not near the ball, hit him in the ankle.
No chance of getting the ball.
No, and took him out. And Dembele could have got a lot hurt. And then, even, it's not related to the card, but Dembele, when he was sliding, got, kneed in the face. And so, the card I thought was totally fair. I mean, a straight red was not expected at the time, but especially if you're not watching it in slow motion, everything, you can dissect more and pick apart, how dangerous of a play was it. But it was reckless. He didn't have control of himself in the tackle. And so, it was really that red card that I think kind of set us up for success. And then on the other hand, Hughes. I mean, they were asking for a penalty in the box because the Valladolid kicked the ball at Alba's hand, and it barely touched it. There's a lot to be said about La Liga refs, but, in the first half, they didn't get the Griezmann when he got elbowed. They didn't get Dest when he got fouled. And so, I don't like all this talk that the refs are rigging it for us at all. I mean, I think, I'm a Barca homer, as are you. And so, of course, I'm going to say that. It's just, with the game with little to talk about, I think as we transition to, the Clasico and how we feel and where we are, bringing it back to the beginning of this talk with Laos being the ref, I'm really hoping we can have a game where the ref doesn't make a big splash and where, we don't feel like we got robbed or Madrid got robbed. I just want to see a game where both teams go out there and really give it their all. Here's my question, though, Yus. Just, at the end of this here. How do you feel about our team giving it their all after this performance today when we line up against Madrid in Madrid?
I think that after the performance today, I think they have enough confidence to get them into El Clasico and take a win. And I say that because last time we played them, we had lost. It was not a great game for us, I believe.
Sure.
And that is bad in itself. And then, not only that, but I think the motivation of being at 65 points, 1 point behind Atletico Madrid, I believe we're 2 points above them. If we beat them this game, we're going to take the top of the table, right? Well, as counting Atletico's next game, but and we're going to push them even farther behind, right? So now we're not having a race against top 3. We're having a race against top 2, hopefully, minimize our chances of, not taking the title. And on top of that, I think today was a warm-up game. Right. This identified the problems they were going to have coming in. It was kind of perfect, I think, because if we had to play Real Madrid after international break this point,
that would have been bad. No, I agree with you, man.
Exactly.
I think this is a warm-up game. I think Messi needs that game to get back into rhythm. I'm hoping that we see. Pedri rest a little bit. I hope we see, some of the players not have to go full force in training in the next few days, or at least a day of rest or something just to get them rejuvenated and ready. I mean, the big thing that we talked about on the last YouTube video, right, is that Madrid play Liverpool tomorrow. So they have a game that they're preparing for, that they have to go all out for. And so, we have some luck here that we're positioned in between 2 Champions League games against Liverpool for Real Madrid. And, hey, we're the only team in Spain and all of Europe to be unbeaten in the league in 2021. You know, I trust Koeman.
True.
I think, like you said, there's just some cobwebs that need to be dusted off, and we're gonna come out there and we're gonna kick some Real Madrid.
Good. Yes.
booties.
Let's go.
Right? Well,
for sure.
I really appreciate everyone watching. Again, if you can, come onto our YouTube, subscribe, like our videos. We really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, guys.